Hello everyone, my name is Conrad on behalf of Camera Stuff. Thanks for joining me tonight. You may be experiencing some load shedding. So I do welcome you. If you're not experiencing load shedding, it's tough times otherwise. But yeah, thanks for joining. I see we're building a crowd as I'm speaking. If you are joining, please do introduce yourself in the comment section. Tell me your name and where you're from. If you're commenting from a Facebook group, just make sure to add your name in as well. All right, so today we are going to chat about the new Godox series of diffuser domes, light shapers. So I have one here attached to a Godox 8200. Yeah, so we talk about the pros and cons and how to use these diffuser domes. All right, so in particular, they have the AKR22. We also have the MLCLD15 as well, so it's a slightly larger one. And they have the MLCS1625 as well, which is just more of a rectangular shaped diffuser dome as well. All right, so we're going to wait for a crowd to build, then we can proceed with our live. All right, so if you have any questions to ask pertaining to whatever's being spoken about here tonight, please do drop that in the comment section and we'll tackle them as we go along. All right, so I think we can start, shall we? All right, so today we are going to chat about Godox's new range of diffuser dome light shapers for flashes and LEDs. So they have released 3 different models, namely the AKR22, as mentioned earlier, the MLCD15, and the ML1625. Okay, so this is what these three, should I say, look like. So we have a slightly larger dome, that's the MLCD15, you have the rectangular shaped one, and you have the smaller AKR22 as well. All right, so what's the point of using these domes? So when working indoors, these lights will spread somewhat evenly in all directions. So due to the shape and design of these domes, so light will spread in all directions. So if you have white walls and a white ceiling to work with, the light will just bounce off those surfaces and provide a soft, somewhat even coverage of light on your subject. When working outdoors, however, it must be said that these relatively small light modifiers won't be that efficient. The reason why is because without walls and a ceiling to bounce the light off from, you'll just end up wasting a lot of light because the light will bounce in all separate directions and very little of that light will be aimed towards your subject. All right, so that being said, the quality of light should still be softer as opposed to direct undiffused light. But I think this must be said over and over again. These little domes are not replacements for big softboxes. So we have to remember one of the golden rules of lighting. The bigger your light is relative to your subject, the softer the light will be. The smaller your light is relative to your subject, the harder the light will be. So this is the difference between a big softbox and a small softbox, as an example. The bigger softbox will provide much softer light as opposed to the smaller softbox. So you can change the effective size of your light by using different light modifiers. So as an example, big softbox versus tiny softbox, the bigger softbox will provide much softer light. So when you're comparing, let's say, a 95 centimeter softbox with one of these little diffuser domes, the softbox will indeed provide much, much softer light. So just to say again, these are not supposed to replace softboxes. Right, so that being said, these are still very much recommended, these diffuser domes. They are compact and long-lasting. So you can take one, you can kind of crunch it. Just going to get my face back. All right, so you can take one of these, you can crunch it, you can shove it into your camera bag, you can pull it inside out, and it will return to its original shape. So a very useful silicone material in regards to something that is long-lasting and it's just easy to travel with and to store. Okay, so it can be said that these are great plan B options. So if you have your softbox, but you don't have time or space to set up your softbox, these will work great as a plan B option. Gonna get my slideshow back. Let's make that bigger. All right, so when working indoors, this is the magic of these domes, because as said earlier, they spread light in a 360-degree radius. So you have light bouncing, you have light going forward, backwards, sideways, bottom up, etc. And all of the light will bounce off the walls and the ceiling. Now, it must be said that if you have white walls and a white ceiling to work with, these are fantastic to use. But if the walls are painted any color like a blue or a pink or a red, you are going to reflect that color back onto your subject. I think I may actually have an example here. All right, so this was me shooting indoors. So on the left-hand side, that's an example of no modifier being used. So what I did here, I used the flash on camera with the diffuser dome attached to the flash itself. So on the left-hand side, what you can see is unmodified. So that is no dome attached whatsoever. So you can see that nasty shadow and the harsh light on our subject. On the right-hand side, we have an example of a diffuser dome attached to the flash itself. So the light is far more diffused. You can see in particular with that shadow on the background, that is nicely diffused as well. But this is something I need to fix, right? My studio has walls that are painted beige, and the ceiling is beige as well. So you get that straw, slightly orange color reflected onto our subject here as well. So it's not that neutral white light. So you need to be mindful of the colors of the walls that you're surrounded by. Okay, because you are going to reflect that back onto your subject. But here's just two good examples of what it looks like with modifier and without modifier. So you can see the diffuser dome just much better in terms of softness and diffused light. All right, so I did a similar experiment outside. So as you can see on the left-hand side, that is no modifier. In the middle, that is with the diffuser dome attached. So it is softer as opposed to the direct undiffused light. But just for interest's sake, I compared it to a big softbox as well, a 95 centimeter softbox. And you can see the big softbox is just much softer in terms of the quality of light. Now, I posted this on Instagram not too long ago. I wanted people to vote as to what their favorite image may be. So let's see the results. Instagram, logging in. Now I gave people an opportunity to vote for their favorite, and it seems like the softbox is winning. So it seems like people still love that big, soft quality of light. But the diffuser dome does serve its purpose here. As I mentioned earlier, if you don't have time or space to set up the big, clunky softbox, this diffuser dome just helps to create that nice, soft light. Outdoors, just be mindful of the amount of light that you're going to lose. So because the light is bouncing in all different directions, you're only going to end up using a fraction of the light on your subject. And I did a bit of a measurement, and I ended up wasting 4 times the amount of light as soon as I popped the diffuser on. So on the left-hand side, comparing to the right-hand side, I don't have a before picture with me, but I lost 4 times the amount of light with the diffuser dome attached. Okay, so this is something to be mindful of. With that diffuser dome attached, when working outdoors, you're going to waste a lot of light. So it's just something to be careful with. Yeah, it's going to show you how the setup looked like. Okay, so off-camera flash being used, the Godox V850 Speedlight. I'm making use of my mannequin doll as well. She's here in my room with me. I don't know if you have noticed the big head behind me. Yeah, very useful mannequin head. And yeah, so activating the flash off camera with the Godox X Pro trigger with the diffuser dome attached. Yeah, I got that result, as you can see in the middle. So on the left-hand side, no diffuser. You can see the harsh lighting, in particular the harsh shadows as well, especially below the jawline and around the nose. With the diffuser dome attached, you can see that shadow just softening up ever so slightly. But with that big softbox attached, you almost get rid of the shadows completely, and the softness of the light is far more improved as well. You can see with the hotspots or specularity on the model, in particular on the bottom lip. So you can look at the image in the middle, you can see some specularity, some shininess on the lip, but on the right-hand side with that big softbox, it just flattens out and diffuses those hotspots. All right, so if you have any questions to ask, please do drop them in the comment section. Okay, I don't know if you want to see a video of what I got as well. See the pug just scratching his butt on the grass bed. All right, so as mentioned earlier, you have 3 different types of these diffuser domes. So you have the MLCD15. the MLCS 1625, and the AKR 22. I'm just going to discuss some of the differences here. All right, so the AKR 22, that is this one in particular. All right, so this is the AKR 22. This is designed for Godox's range of round head flashes. So in particular, the V1 flash, the Godox 8100, and also the 8200 with the H200R head attached to it. Let me just switch off the modding light. All right, so with your 8200, you can buy this round head attachment. That AKR 22 will fit directly onto the flash head itself. All right, so just to confirm, the 80R22 that fits on the Godox round head flashes, in particular the Godox 8100 V1 flash and the H200R round head attachment for the 8200. All right, but if you don't have any of these, well, you can see a couple of examples here. That is with the AKR22 attached to the V1 on the left-hand side, the 8200 with the H200R round head attached, and the 8100 Pro flash as well. All right, so if we don't have any of those flashes, what you can use is the MLCD15. Now this dome is slightly bigger as well, as it comes with 3 separate attachment heads or adapters that you can use with a variety of different lighting. So I'm going to get my face back. So you can see this is the MLCD15 in comparison to the AKR22. You can see it's bigger as well. So this guy will provide a not much softer, but a slightly softer quality of light. But as mentioned, what you get with it is a variety of different adapters. So the different adapters that is compatible with a vast series of different flashes. So you don't need the Godox round head. If you have one, you can use one of those brackets. But if you have a normal Speedlight, yeah, you can use one of those brackets that can be used with any rectangular flash head. For example, the TT600, TT685, V860, V850, the Mark II versions, the Mark III versions, etc. Broadly speaking, most rectangular flashes, it doesn't need to be Godox. It can fit on the Canons and the Nikons and the Hanels as well. Yeah, so basically what you do with it, you just clamp the Speedlight into the back. So get my face back. Where I am. All right, so you can see at the back, that's a little clamping mechanism. Just slide your Speedlight in and make sure that it's nice and tight. Yeah, that is quite secure, fitting onto the flash head itself. Now we have other options available as well. So we have for the round head accessories as well. Plus you have an attachment for the Godox native mount. So this in particular for the ML30 and ML60 LEDs and the 8300 and the 8400. So basically here what can be said is that if you buy the MLCD15, and it's just about 50 Rand more, so it's highly recommended to go with that option instead of the AKR22, because you just have more options as to what that dome is compatible with in terms of fitting onto the light itself. Plus it's slightly bigger as well, so the quality of light will be just slightly softer. Okay, so just to reiterate, so with a MLCD15, there's about 580, 590 Rand thereabouts. You get 3 different adapters. And these adapters just allow you to use a variety of different lighting with the diffuser dome. All right, so now I want to show you direct comparisons between no dome and with dome attached. So this is the Godox V1 aimed directly at a backdrop. This is with the diffuser dome attached. So you can see the diffuser dome just supplies that evenly distributed light source. Just helps to flatten out that hotspot and to diffuse the shadows as well. So much better as opposed to the direct light. Plus that diffuser dome is not taking up a lot of space. It attaches directly onto the flash head, so you don't need like complicated bracketing systems or any large light modifier as such. Yeah, so very convenient and easy to use. All right, so here's a trick about the diffuser domes. They come in 3 positions. So you can flatten them in a manner of speaking. Let's get my face back. There we go. So you can flatten these guys. You can pull it out slightly. That's the second position. Just pull it out completely to make the full ball shape. Right, so that's the point of flattening the dome in the first place. All right, so what you'll find when using a dome is that the light spreads everywhere. Right? Now, if you want to control the light just a wee bit extra, you can flatten that dome. So what you can see here is that most of the light, well, if not all of the light, is going in one direction. It's going straight forward. However, if you pull out that ball shape, some of the light is going backwards. And if you create that full ball shape, you can see that evenly distributed light. So the light goes sideways, forward, backwards, up and down, etc., etc. So just to reiterate, if you flatten the dome, all the light goes in one direction. So I think this would be useful in an outdoor setting. So you make sure that most of the light is going in the direction that you want. However, when you start working indoors, if you have those white walls and that white ceiling to work with, you can push out the dome to a ball shape, and that will spread the light everywhere. And so all the light will just bounce off the walls and ceiling, thus adopting the size of the walls, partially speaking, and also providing a much bigger light source. Because as odd as it may sound, when you bounce light off the wall, sorry, losing my words, when you bounce light off the wall becomes the light source in a manner of speaking. And so the wall being larger than the light source itself will create a much softer light on your subject. Okay, so very useful indoors. So if you're a wedding photographer, an event photographer, real estate photographer, these diffuser balls will come in very handy. All right, so this is a comparison on a subject. So that is with the ball stretched out, so with the full ball shaped being used here. Okay, so what I want you to notice in particular is the shadow on the background. So with a full ball shape, this is nice and soft, fairly diffused. But once you push that ball, the dome in, that shadow just becomes a little bit crisper and edgier. Especially flattened out, you can see how harsh the light becomes. Okay, so with the ball stretched out, the light is just generally softer, that shadow is partially diffused. With a ball pushed in to a second position, the light just gets slightly harder and harder. Okay, so you have options here basically. So in terms of the quality and the direction of the light, you can just play around with the positions of the diffuser ball. So you can have the full ball shape, or you can just squish it into a compact version if you want more directional light out of it. Okay, so as mentioned, having that versatility is quite useful. I think there's a couple of good examples. If you're working indoors, make use of the full ball shape. If you're working outdoors, obviously you want to direct the light in one direction, so you can just squish the ball in. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have any questions. I'm pretty much done with my slideshow. I'm here to answer your questions. This is the reason why we're doing this live, so that we can be interactive with you guys. Okay, so if you're curious about the rectangular head, personally, I don't know the difference between the ball and this one. The ball will obviously provide a much what we call a nuclear bomb of light, so the ball just disperses everywhere. This guy will just provide a bit more directional light. But this is more expensive and is a bit more complicated as far as its design is concerned as well. So we have this plastic bit here, and I assume over time that's just going to come loose, as opposed to the diffuser ball, that's just one piece. So if you were looking for my recommendation, I would recommend the diffuser ball. Okay. But if you're interested in a rectangular shape for whatever reason, maybe you want those rectangular catch lights or reflections on your subject, I think that would be a good reason for buying one of these, if you are mindful of the reflections created by the light itself. So for example, on glassware, bottles and such, if you don't want that round shaped reflection, if you want something more rectangular, then go with the rectangular light shaper instead. All right, so as mentioned, we have the 3 options. So I'm just going to go to our website. I'm going to show you where to find these. Okay, the website is loading. I'm just going to show you here. All right, so if you type in diffuser dome, it should lead you, let me get my spelling right, diffuser dome, should lead you to at least 2 of them. All right, so you find 2 examples here. This middle one is made for the Godox 8200 bare bulb, but these 2 are the new ones for silicone heads. So you can find them on the website if you just type in diffuser dome, or you can type in the code as well as provided tonight. For example, MLCD15, you can just type that into the search bar and it will lead you directly to the item. Right, so the price difference between the smaller one and the bigger one, as mentioned, is not big whatsoever. I'll recommend buying the bigger one instead. This one is nice and small, but it's not a big difference whatsoever. Plus, the bigger one has all of the attachments, so you can use it on a variety of different lights as well. Okay, so 580 Rand, that is with the adapters included for the slightly bigger diffuser dome. All right, so where are you guys located? We are based in Blairgowrie, Johannesburg. So on Jan Smuts Avenue 473, Jan Smuts Avenue. So if you type in camera stuff into Google Maps, it should pop up immediately. Yep, so Joburg based, Blairgowrie, Randburg specifically. All right, so just type in camera stuff into your Google Maps and it should pop up immediately. Question number 2 from Lynn Ray. I'm curious to know, could I use this on the 8200? Yes, absolutely. I'll show you now in a bit. Get my face back. All right, so I should have an 8200 here. Convenient. Okay, so this is my 8200. So with that Fresnel head attached, you can use the one with the attachment that is designed for Speedlights, because this is a similar size to that of Speedlights. So you can just attach it to the back. Let me just open that up a wee bit. Sorry, I need more arms. A wee bit more. Sorry. There you go. And just clamp that on. Okay, that's nice and secure. There we go. Yeah, so it's widely compatible with a variety of different lighting. So this is why I recommend buying the bigger one with the 3 adapters instead, so you can use it on a different lighting. If you buy the smaller one, that's only compatible with the round head flashes from Godox, so the V1, the 8100, and the H200R, which is something that you can buy for the 8200, but it's not included with the 8200, so it's a separate purchase. So I have one of those. Yeah, so you can use a smaller dome with this round head attachment. But as I said, probably 4 or 5 times now already, buy the bigger one with a variety of different adapters, but just allows you more versatility. All right, so that's my questions done. If you guys have more questions, please do ask. Awesome, thanks. It's a big pleasure then. Okay, just to show you the website again, just type in the code or type in the diffuser dome as what I did, and it will lead you directly to the items. You can make your purchase online. We deliver nationwide, or you can come to our shop. As mentioned just a little bit earlier, we are in Blairgowrie, 473 Jan Smuts Avenue. You're welcome to bring your equipment to see if everything will fit, and you can give it a bit of a test run as well. Okay, and our helpful guys at the shop will be more than willing to help you out. Okay, got another question. Hello, Lochis, how are you doing? All right, so I measured outdoors. So if you use it without the dome versus with the dome, you lose about 4 stops of light. So it's actually quite a dramatic loss of light. So this is just something to be mindful of when working outdoors, because the light is just going everywhere and it's just not aimed at your subject. Well, most of it is not aimed at your subject. You lose a lot of light. So what you can do is compress the dome. That will just help you to direct the light exactly where it needs to go. And then you'll lose about 2 to 3 stops whereabouts. Yeah, so this is unfortunately something that is going to happen. You're going to lose a bit of light, so you just need to compensate for that by increasing the intensity of your light itself. All right, another question. Do you guys have handheld stabilizers, glide cam? Unfortunately, not for the time being. We are looking for a supplier. That's going to happen mid here or close to 3/4 of the end of the year. Yeah, so as mentioned, we are looking at different suppliers at the moment, but at present, unfortunately, we don't have. Okie dokie. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through my slideshow again, just going to touch on some of the finer talking points, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. I'm going to do that now. Yeah, sorry. One day I'm going to have my own director here that will just press all the buttons for me. But for the time being, I'm running solo here, so I do apologize if I'm a little bit slow. All right, so Godox has released 3 different diffuser domes. The MLCD15, that's the one I do recommend very highly. MLCS1625 has a rectangular one, and the AKR22, that is for the round head flashes. With the MLCD15 and MLCS1625, you get 3 different adapters with it. That just allows you to use it on a variety of different lighting. Okay, so the talking points here is that the dome is not a replacement for a larger softbox as such. The larger softbox will provide much softer light. So typically you'll see in the advertising material or the product descriptions, they'll say you're going to get super soft light. That's not strictly true. Yes, you're going to get softer light as opposed to the direct underfused light. But if you want super duper soft lighting, you need to think in terms of size as well. The bigger the light source, the softer the light will be. So a bigger softbox will provide you much softer light. But as mentioned earlier, these are great plan B options. So if you don't have time to set up your softbox, if you don't have the space for it, especially working in confined spaces indoors, this is a great option because that will allow you to bounce the light off the walls and ceilings. It will just provide a much better quality of light as opposed to the direct underfused lights. All right, so because they provide a multi-directional lighting, they provide multi-directional lighting, so it just creates an even coverage on your subject as well. Because the light bounces from multiple directions, it will just create a nice even coverage on your subject's face. If you're taking photos of people's faces, as an example, so get lighting from multiple directions. So it's just a nice even coverage of light on your subject. Not very efficient outdoors because of the light spillage. Because of the dome-shaped design, you're going to get light bouncing everywhere, so most of the light is not going to be aimed directly where you want it. All right, so light loss on the rectangular one. I haven't tested that one, but I assume it's a little bit less as opposed to the diffuser dome. It's still going to be about 2 to 3 stops whereabouts. Yeah, because the rectangular one, I'm going to get my face back. Yeah, the rectangular one also has the silicone near translucent back, so the light will go out backwards as well. Not as much as the round one. Most of the light will go forward, but you still have that light spillage going out the back as well. Yeah, so you're going to lose a bit of light. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, this is an example of the dome bouncing lights off the ceiling, but it will do so off the walls and off the floor as well, mind you. It will just bounce back at your subject. This is the magic of the diffuser domes. They provide multi-directional light, thus providing a softer light. Okay, so I did my experiment. On the left-hand side, you'll see no modifier. Middle one, you'll see with the diffuser dome attached, and on the right-hand side, that is with the softbox attached, the 95 centimeter octabox in particular. So with that big softbox, the light is just incredibly soft. The diffuser dome kind of provides a middle ground, if you want to call it that. With no modifier attached, that is direct underfused light, you can see how harsh that shadows and the lighting on our subject is. If you're curious to know what the lighting setup looked like, there you go. So off-camera flash being used, Godox V850 Speedlight, one with a lithium-ion battery, Godox X Pro to trigger it off camera. To hold the Speedlight, I used the Godox S2 bracket. Okay, so indoor setting, direct light versus the diffuser dome attached. I don't know if you caught this earlier, but I did mention that my studio, the walls are painted beige and the ceiling is painted beige. I need to change that in the near future. But as with the right-hand side image, you can see some of that straw orange color reflected onto our backdrop and subject. So just something to be mindful of. It's just otherwise an easy fix. But if you're going to shoot indoors and the place has red walls or green walls or pink walls, whatever it may be, you're going to get a pink subject or a red subject. So just something to be mindful of. Okay, that is what I did indoors in the studio. So simple on-camera flash setup with the diffuser dome attached. All right, so to confirm the AKR22, that's the smaller one, that's only compatible with Godox's range of round head flashes. In particular, the 8100 Pro, the V1 flash, the H200R round head attachment for the 8200. This is the one I recommend, the MLCD15. It has 3 different adapters included, so that just allows you to use it on a variety of different lighting. Same thing can be said about the MLCS1625, the rectangular one as well. Okay, so you get an attachment that can be used on most rectangular flash heads. It doesn't need to be Godox. As mentioned, it can be Canon, it can be Nikon, it can be a variety of different brands as well. Yeah, so as an example, the T600, TT685, V860, the flash just clamps into the adapter and you can mount that with your diffuser dome. Then you have the standard one for the rounded flashes. If you do have an 8100 or a V1, now, Godox has its own native speed ring mount. So it's not the Bones mount, it is one for Godox, specifically the ML30, the ML60. The 8300 has the native mount as well. The 8400 has interchangeable mounts. So you can choose the native mount or the Bones mount. So if you have any of those lights, you can use that attachment to fit the diffuser dome. Okay, here's an example of direct flash. On a backdrop, you can see the concentration of light with the semi-soft edges, whereas with the diffuser dome, it just spreads out the light quite evenly. It flattens out that hot spot and creates nice diffused edges as well. Boom. Now, as also mentioned before, you can squish the ball, so you can flatten it. You can have the full ball shape, you can have a half ball shape, whatever that is called, and you can flatten it completely. And the point of that is with the diffuser ball flattened, all the light goes into the direction where you want it to go. The half shape just adds a bit of light bouncing backwards. And with a full ball shape, that just bounces light everywhere. So you can see the light going backwards in this instance as well. Okie dokie. All right, so pretty much went through my slideshow twice. So I don't know if you guys have any other questions to ask, even if it's not pertaining to today's lesson whatsoever. I'm here. I have load shedding 8 o'clock, so you have me for an extra half an hour if you so choose. Yeah, so it's highly recommended. I'm definitely going to buy one myself. This is a nice, great option for quick lighting, even if you running around with a light attached to your camera with on-camera flash. This is a great option just to get rid of that, direct, unflattering light. So with the diffuser ball attached to the flash itself, the quality of the light will just improve quite dramatically. All right, so for wedding photographers, event photographers, real estate photographers, even pet photography. I'm going to use this definitely on my pugs as well. The pugs do move around, so I don't have assistant to move the big softbox with me. So I'm just going to attach this and point it to the ceiling, and I'm just going to bounce a lot of light off the ceiling and just wish for the best, I suppose. But yeah, this does provide an even coverage of light throughout the entire room, so chances are we'll capture some great images. Already load shedding with me in Secunda. Well, thank you for joining regardless. Probably watching on your phone. I don't know if you have a UPS or solar or anything of the sorts. Yeah, it seems like many of us will need to go that direction one day in the future. But yeah, thanks for joining, Lochis. Do appreciate it. All right, so available on a Camera Stuff website. The big ball, the ML CD15, that's 580 Rand. You get the pre-adapters with it. Plus, you can find us in store as well. So we are in Blair Gallery, Randburg, 473 Jan Smits. Bring your flash, bring your lighting, and we will test it on the spot to make sure that everything fits nice and snug. Okay, so unless I get any more questions, I think I am going to sign off. So as mentioned, you guys can keep me here for as long as an extra 30 minutes, but I can only do so if you have questions to ask me. Okay, so I'm going to give it an extra 20 or 30 seconds odd, then I'm going to say goodbye. Boom, boom. All right, so I always think if you don't have questions to ask, that means I did a good job tonight. So hopefully that is the case. Hopefully that was the case. Hopefully you got good information. You learned more about the Godox Diffuser Domes. And hopefully if you do decide to buy one, you have all of the information to make that purchase. Okay, so I think that's going to be it from my side. This is Conrad on behalf of Camera Stuff, signing off. Hope you enjoy your Thursday nights further. All right, cheers. Bye-bye. And ending broadcast.